Jonathan, so I now want to ask the other element of this, which makes it even more difficult, which is how foreigners are able to come to our universities and our schools. And so in some ways that is a step one to H-1B. So someone goes to Caltech from a foreign country, they get a bachelor's degree, and then they apply for an H-1B visa to stay here more permanently, and then intentionally or unintentionally then disenfranchises American workers. The UC system, for example, basically bills with foreigners, and they charge a ton to foreigners. Explain to our audience our immigration policy when it comes to higher education, how that plays into the broader discussion.
Yeah, this is such an important component to this because you're talking about the talent development pipeline here. And ultimately, what gets manifest at the level of hiring decisions is determined by that talent development pipeline that should be our higher education system. I worked in the UC system at UC Irvine in R1 University. That's a main research university. We develop a ton of STEM talent. Here's a few facts for the people listening. When I was there in through 2012 to 2022, we had over 20% of our undergraduate population were foreign-born nationals. By the time I left in 2022, and anybody can go look this up, there were more foreign-born nationals at UC Irvine than there were white males, okay, or whites generally. Okay. Now, there has been a massive displacement of the population that these universities are intended to serve by these foreign nationals. There's a bunch of complicated cultural and economic reasons why that's the case. These foreign nationals, for example, pay sometimes 2, even 3 times much in terms of tuition than native-born students. And so the universities are incentivized to bring them in. But whatever the explanation, this obviously has to change. We need to recommit our higher ed institutions to developing our own native-born talent and pushing them into these fields that are in such high demand from tech world. And that is a solution here. Now, to be fair, I have to concede that there's going to be some time lag. This isn't the kind of policy that you implement tomorrow and then the next day the results are in front of you. There's going to be years in which this talent development pipeline needs to be reconfigured. But that doesn't mean we don't do it. That doesn't mean we take a shortcut and instead just throw up our hands and say this can't be done. We're going to take in all these foreign H-1Bs instead.
Last point here, and again, I say this as a simpleton when it comes to these matters, but at least my operating assumption is that artificial intelligence allows us to be more efficient, allows us to get rid of duplicative work. Why is it that we're pushing for mass migration while we are seeing the integration of artificial intelligence technology? Those things seem incompatible with one another, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we're told 2 competing things here. On the one hand, AI is going to make all of these low-skill tech engineering jobs obsolete. The computers are going to do it themselves. We're told that, but then on the other hand, we're told we need to bring in all of these H-1Bs to fill those low-skill or modestly skilled engineering coding jobs. Those things don't add up. Now, I'm not a tech expert. I'm not an AI, so I can't tell you how real this is, how much of this is just sort of a rhetorical window dressing in order to justify why we need to bring in this cheap labor. I'm willing to take these guys at their word, but something doesn't add up here, and they need to explain this. And I just want to end on this final point. This is not about bringing in better talent. This is about bringing in cheaper talent. And if we're going to have this conversation, I want us to be honest about that fact.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Again, at least from my perspective, as we become more efficient, more automated, and more robotic, for better or for worse, that then would probably weaken the argument that we need to bring in tens of millions of people from the foreign lands.